are going to speak about South Africa, the 24th largest country in the world. In this presentation, we will be going through 7 main points about the country, which are the following: short facts about the country, history, climate, culture, tourism, economy, and HIV, which is a major problem in Africa. South Africa is a republic located in the southern tip of Africa. The country has a population of approximately 52 million people, and the area is about 1.2 million square kilometers, which basically means that the country is almost 3 times the size of Sweden. Unlike Sweden, is South Africa a republic, and their president is called Jacob Zuma. The country has about 10 official languages, and English is one of the biggest ones. The currency in South Africa is South African Rand, which is also called ZAR. South Africa has 3 capital cities, which is very unusual. Pretoria, Bloemfontein, and the Cape Town are the 3 capital cities. The largest city in the country is called Johannesburg, which is located in the northern part of South Africa.
United Kingdom came to South Africa 76. During the 17th century, the British people found gold and diamonds there. This led to a greater prosperity and immigration. It started a war 1786 between the original residents and the British people. The British people tried to expand their territory. This war was called the Boer War, and the South Africans was defeated. 13 years later, it started a second Boer War. The British people started then the world's first concentration camp. The purpose was not to kill the people, but to influence their opinions and traditions so that they could be a part of the new society which the British people had made. It was very violent, and many of the South Africans died that. 1810, South Africa became independently, but it's still today very tense between the United Kingdom and South Africa. The apartheid policy has been a big part of South Africa's history. The origin of this comes from how the white people treated the black people during the Boer War. All thought South Africa became independently, the mood have been tensed between the white and the black people. The apartheid policy was based on that black and white people became separated from each other, or maybe it was more like the black people who became separated from the white people. It was advantageous to be white at the time. They had better conditions, and if you were black, people saw you as an inferiority. The black people wasn't allowed to be in certain places. They couldn't sit at any table they wanted, at cafes, and it was strictly forbidden that white and black had a sexual relationship. If you didn't follow the laws, you can get severely punished as go to prison. Nelson Mandela is worth to mention. He fought against apartheid, and he was in prison 27 years because of this. 1894, he finally got right for his thing and became president for South Africa. The apartheid policy was abolished. Apartheid doesn't exist in South Africa anymore, but a lot of people how live there thinks the land is still very divided, and that many have racist opinions. There's a beautiful landscape with both mountains and large plains. Moreover, the country has a coastline that stretches halfway around the country. There's a tropical weather, the summer is hot and it rains a lot. The winters are more dry and mild, but it varies a bit depending on where in the country you are. The seasons are the other way around if you compare to Sweden. The spring is between August to October, the summer between October to February, the fall between March and April, and the winter between May and July.
In South Africa, there are a range of different cultures, making South Africa one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world. Most of the tribes have traditions to dance and play music for the gods, because that's the way of them communicating with the gods. One of the most famous tribes is called Zulu, and it's famous because that's where Nelson Mandela came from, and he was the first black president in South Africa. The Zulu tribe has a god named Shaka at Shakaland, and they dance and sing for him to do their prayers. The South African safari is like most of the safaris in Africa. You jump into a jeep and the guide drives around and shows you the animals they have in the national park. In Africa there is something called the Big Five. The animals are the elephant, leopard, lion, rhino and the African buffalo. They are called the Big Five because in the early 1900s hunters went to Africa and the Big Five was the animals that was the toughest and the hardest to hunt. They also gave the most money. There is something called the Big Four in Sweden, and they are the wolf, bear, lynx, and the wolverine. They are the same thing, just in Sweden. Another tourist attraction is Table Mountain. The mountain's name is Table Mountain because it's flat on the top of the mountain. It is situated in Cape Town, and it is said to be one of the best views in whole of South Africa.
The economy in South Africa is pretty good, at least if you compare with the other nations in the continent. Their economy is well developed, but they do still have some troubles and high unemployment since the apartheid, but this is a matter that is getting better. The economic growth has increased people in work, and the country has a lot of nature resources, which is another important factor for the country's economy. Another reason to the economic growth is the tourism that is increasing each year. This gives the country possibilities to put more people in work, which leads to improvements. The class differences in the country could be very clear at some points, and a lot of people lack access to welfare and education, and this is a huge problem for the country. Over 30% of the population is unemployed, and today is the country looking for solutions to solve this problem.
South Africa has the most HIV rate in the whole world. Over 10% of the South Africans' inhabitants has HIV. The reason for the high HIV rate in South Africa is because of the lack of education. They don't know the risks with HIV, and another thing is that they don't have preventive measures. The rate of sexual harassment is also a factor for the quick spreading of HIV in South Africa.